To get started quilting, there's a few supplies you will need. I'm going to walk you through each and what it will be used for. First, you'll need a sewing machine. This doesn't need to be anything fancy for your first quilt. Quilting is primarily sewing with a straight stitch. You can do most of your sewing with a universal needle in an 80-12 size. However, you may find that you want to switch to a 90-14 size when it comes time to quilt and bind your quilt. A walking or even feed foot may also be helpful to you when it comes time to quilt and bind your quilt. This foot lifts between each stitch so that the top and bottom fabrics feed through evenly and reduces puckering. You'll also want to have a seam gauge handy so that you can check your seam allowance as you work. Accuracy is key in quilting. To cut your pieces, use a rotary cutter and ruler as it's faster and more precise than cutting with scissors. Here I have a 45mm rotary cutter and blade and a 6x24-inch acrylic quilt ruler, which is a great size to start with. I also have a 12.5-inch square acrylic ruler, which is the size block we will be making in this series. You'll also need a self-healing mat to protect your work surface and extend the life of your rotary blades. I also have a pair of fabric scissors, which I'll use for cutting down batting and larger pieces of fabric, and a small pair of scissors for trimming threads. Here I have quilt pins, which tend to be longer and sharper than other sewing pins. We will use these for piecing our quilt top together. Then I have these binding clips, which pinch to hold your binding in place, which is great if you're finishing your binding by hand. I also use these clips to tag pieces that I've cut or keep like items together in between sewing sessions. Next, I have a variety of marking tools. You'll see as we work through the different steps in this series that there are a few times when making a quilt that you will need to mark your fabric. You'll want a marking method that will disappear, so here I have a chalk cartridge, which is like a mechanical pencil, but with chalk instead of lead. The chalk comes in different colors so that you can choose the one that works best for your project. I also have 2 markers which disappear either with water or air after a few hours. With any of these methods, it's always best to test your fabric first to make sure it will disappear completely before using it on your project. I also have a Hera marker, which is a shaped plastic tool that can be used to mark indentations in your quilt top as a guide for your quilting. When it comes time to baste, you'll need masking tape to hold your backing fabric flat and smooth to reduce wrinkles and puckers in your quilt. And to baste your quilt together, you can pin baste using these curved safety pins, which makes it easier to get through all the layers of your quilt than traditional safety pins. Or you can spray baste using a basting spray adhesive. Make sure you choose something that is meant for fabric and will wash out. We will review both methods in our basting video. You'll also need a seam ripper because you will make mistakes that need to be undone, and again, accuracy is key when quilting. Of course, you'll need quilting cotton to make your quilt out of. I'll be using solids for this series so that it's easy for you to see what I'm doing, but there are a wide variety of prints and solids ready for you to create with. You'll also need batting for your quilt, which is the middle layer for our quilt. There are different options in both material and loft, which can change the feel of your quilt. For these videos, I'll be using a white cotton batting. You'll also need an iron and ironing board or surface. Well-pressed seams are an important part of maintaining accuracy while quilting.